All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Sorry, I just noticed I have one like and zero concurrent viewers. Someone liked and left. That's awesome. Hey, Ming, good to see you. Oh, hang on. Let me pull the chat out so I can see it better. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay. I apologize. You'll probably hear me sniffing. In fact, I realized that the mic was not turned off while it was doing the countdown, and I was coughing and all kinds of fun stuff. So hopefully, the person who liked the stream and then went away wasn't put off by that. So we'll see. Anyway, let me see. Where is my stuff? I apologize. I had all of this set up a minute ago, and then I made some changes. Hey Ming, any update on your job search stuff? I was hoping to hear some good news. Okay, here we go. Long story short, was in the referral interview process and got through 3 out of 5 stages. I don't know why they're so big on testing. Yeah, man, I'll be honest with you. The more I don't know. I don't know. Like on one hand, I kind of get it a little bit now, especially thinking about what the what the topic today is. Um, I kind of understand it a little bit more because they might want to make sure that you know what you're doing, but man, I've never been a huge proponent of a bunch of tests to determine whether somebody is in the position, right? If I am hiring for a junior developer, my understanding is that junior developer does not have the the ability of a senior level developer, and I should be able to evaluate that based on a conversation, based on looking at their experience and the way that they talk about their experience. A junior developer is going to say different things from a senior developer because they're going to have encountered different things, um, or fewer things, really, at the end of the day. So I just I just don't understand. The only reason I can think of is that companies don't have senior developers or people who are doing the interviews that are that know what they're doing, and both in their interview process or in the talent evaluation process or whatever it is. Um, I agree with you, Ming. I don't understand why there's so much emphasis on testing, um, when really 90 to 95% of the tests that are given are really pointless compared to the actual work that you're going to be doing on the job. And for me, that's another piece of that puzzle that's really frustrating. But I kind of jumped into that right out of the gate since Ming was the only one on here. So let me say welcome to the Saturday live stream on Dev Mentor Dave. Hopefully, jumping right into some of the issues that Ming's having doesn't deter you. We are going to be here at least for an hour. I don't know if we'll make the full 2 hours today. I'm still recovering from whatever this sickness was, and it's giving me all kinds of junk and things. So I'm gonna keep fighting through that though. Hopefully, we'll be able to have a good live stream together. Regardless of that, I do have my water and I've got my coffee. So if Mel happens to join us, she can see that I'm still drinking my coffee. I actually got some new coffee that I'm trying out, which is kind of funny because I'm not really a coffee connoisseur, so I don't really know It all pretty much tastes the same, unless it has really, really strong taste or flavor. I'm not going to notice the difference. But for Mel, and it is fresh, so I brewed it this morning. So excuse me if I cough or if I clear my throat a lot or you know sniff things like that. I'm still fighting through some of those things from last weekend. So thankfully, I do feel a whole lot better, well enough to jump on here and talk for an hour or so about some interesting things. Um, but if you are watching live, jump in the chat and say hello and join us. Be a part of the conversation. That's really the whole goal of the live stream, is not for me to sit here and lecture on things, although I tend to do that regardless. My goal is to interact with you guys, answer your questions. So if you have a question, put it in the chat. Right at DevMentorDave at the beginning so I can see it. It'll pop up with a little box that will notify me that you're talking to me. And we'll kind of dive into the topic here in a couple minutes. Let's see what Ming has to say. Yeah, that's another interesting thing. So Ming says, I don't know why I have to go through so many hoops for a referral. That's not what got me through the next stage. This role's mid-level. Even my past interviews, they rarely asked me about it. Yeah, that's even more strange too, because I know for us, if we have somebody coming in, like the people that we've hired, we trust to do their job. We think that they're good at their job. We think that that they have a good understanding of what is needed to do the job. And so if they recommend someone, are there going to be times where they might just recommend somebody that's a friend? Sure. Could they recommend somebody they don't really know? Yes. But most of the time, if we're getting a recommendation, we're going to at least take it seriously. Now, we may not agree as leadership that that's somebody that we want to pursue, looking at their resume or things like that, and they may not fit the specific position that we're looking for. But at the end of the day, that process is generally much faster process. It's more, we generally skip step number one. So our process typically is, we have the first step, which is a phone screen. Well, if you want to call the first step evaluating the resume, you can make that a step, but we'll evaluate the resume, then we'll give them a quick phone call, usually 10-15 minutes. That's just kind of getting to know them, what they're looking for, seeing if we think there's somebody that we want to actually interview and dig down deeper with. And then we have one interview. On very rare occasions, we'll have more than one interview. The only reason that we would tend to do that is if we really want somebody to interview them who wasn't available during the original time. Either that person's going to be over them or might have more knowledge of a certain subject that we need to delve into, but it's very, very rare. And especially with a referral, typically you're going to get one interview and then that's it. We'll make a decision whether we're going to hire you or not. I don't understand this multi-step process. To me, it just says that you don't know how to evaluate talent at the end of the day. That's the only reason for it, in my opinion. Maybe you're trying to weed out specific people. I don't know, but I mean, technically, legally, I don't think you're really supposed to even compare one candidate with another. I think technically, legally here in the United States, you're supposed to take every candidate as they come and make a decision. So if you're following that process, then you shouldn't need to have multiple steps. If this, because you're not comparing people, you're not filtering people, you're just deciding whether that person's a good fit or not. So, oh, that feels good. So I don't think, I just don't think that they know what they're doing at the end of the day. They may have a process that they've gotten from somebody, but these multi-step processes just don't make any sense to me. as not just a developer and a somebody who's being hired, but as somebody who does the hiring process. The hiring process is already difficult enough. Why would we make it harder and longer, not just for the person trying to get a job, but for the people doing the interviews? So, hey Kelly, good to see you. Glad we finally made it together on the live stream. So yeah, I just don't get that process. It doesn't make sense. Especially with referrals. Referrals should be an even faster process. When I came onto the company that I'm currently working for, of course, my referral was basically the owner of the company, but he put me in, and I went through the interview process as well. But I didn't have a formal first call like we typically do, So there was some truncated aspects, and I'll be honest with you, there were. Um, I can guarantee you that the process that I went through as a referral from the owner was a lot less stringent, even in the conversation, than what we currently do with those that we're trying to hire. So referrals should streamline the process, in my opinion. So that's really frustrating me, and I again, I can apologize for our industry as much as I can, but it doesn't really change a whole lot, unfortunately. Um, Ming says maybe that's how all big companies recruit. Eh, Not really. I mean, I've interviewed for multiple companies that were pretty large and only had one interview. No coding challenges. Um, at least large here in the Kansas City area. I mean, these were companies that had hundreds of developers. So I don't think it's simply just a matter of being a big company. I think somewhere along the way someone decided it was a good process, and so they followed it. And they still do today. A referral means someone definitely knows he or she is the best fit. That makes sense to me. I wouldn't necessarily say that though. So, um, just because somebody gets referred doesn't mean that they're for sure the best fit. We've had multiple people get referred. We've even had people referred again by upper management, director level management, where I'm at, that we ended up not hiring. Some of them we even made offers and they didn't come, so they didn't feel like it was a good fit. So I don't know that I would say that it's a guarantee or a lock that it's a good fit for the company. But at least it's a leg up. It should be a leg up. A referral should be a leg up into the job process. It shouldn't just be a way of getting. Well, maybe that's the problem. Is that it's just a way of getting into the process, whereas a lot of the other ways of getting in the process are not the same. So that's really annoying, man. I, I'm hoping you get something soon. I know it's a tough world out there right now. The market is dumb. Um, I still believe I saw a post on LinkedIn the other day saying that the number of jobs in our industry has declined since COVID, has steadily declined since COVID. Um, that may be true. That's a very small segment of. We're talking about 4 years, maybe not even that when that chart came out. And so 3 or 4 years worth of data over the last 30 years of data, I think I think we got to be careful. And I think another thing too is that that post was specifically targeting US, whereas the number of developers is actually growing, excuse me, actually growing over time in other parts of the world. So it may be declining for US workers, but it's not declining necessarily overall in need. And I think that's the thing that we need to understand. Even with the advent of AI, which we're going to talk about AI some today, even with the advent of AI, there is there are going to be more opportunities, in my opinion, than fewer. I think one of the funniest opportunities is being able to fix all the junk that people are building with vibe coding, which is one of the things that we're going to talk about today. Uh, but that's the reality is you're always going to need humans that know what they're doing. And so we need to make sure that we're training humans to know what they're doing, and we need to make sure that we're hiring humans at the junior level and training them to know what they're doing. So um, we are in a weird position right now where I think everybody is all the industry is reacting to AI in such a way that they think we don't need people. And at some point we're going to hit a tipping point and realize that it wasn't everything that it was cracked up to be. Not that it's not useful, but it's not really there or designed to replace humans. We're still going to always need humans, and we're going to need to always be training and mentoring humans. And for me, that's the key. That's why I'm still here. You know, I could have been like, oh, AI is going to take over everything. Let's pack up the Dev Mentor Dave YouTube channel because we don't need junior devs anymore. No, we still need junior devs because at some point I'm going to retire. Well, and quite frankly, in my job, I write very little code. I actually pushed up I'm managing a really big project right now at work. One of them, and so I'm managing multiple developers, and so I haven't had a lot of time to write much code. But I actually pushed my first pull request up this last week for that project, just to kind of make sure that I'm keeping track of what's going on from the code base standpoint, and ensuring that I can be a little bit helpful and beneficial in the process. But I don't get to do a lot of code writing right now, and so there's people like me who are moving into management positions, people who are retiring. Somebody's got to backfill those positions. I guarantee you, I do not trust AI enough to just hand everything over to AI when I get older and let it handle all of my travel and all of my income and finances and my health. I mean, who's going to write the code that makes sure that I stay alive, you know, in 20 or 30 years, hopefully, hopefully more than that. You know, who's going to write the code that manages that? Well, it's going to be people who maybe aren't even born yet. And if we're not pursuing mentoring people, then we're definitely hurting ourselves and our industry for the future. So that's one of the reasons why I want to make sure and jump on and talk about this popular thing that's going on right now. We're going to talk about vibe coding, and I don't know if you all know what vibe coding is. There's a lot of videos about vibe coding. There's a lot of opinions about vibe coding. There's a lot of different ideas of what it means to vibe code. And so I kind of want to talk through what vibe coding is, and then as the title of the video or of the live stream says, I want to talk about what I think is the only reason why you would consider or should consider doing any vibe coding at all. So, excuse me. So I want to jump in first of all and talk about what vibe coding actually is. And if you're not familiar with it, vibe coding is dealing with AI, right? And Ming said something about AI here. It says, even when I ask ChatGPT to build something in React, I always need to refactor it, which means I have to re-clarify what I mean or target something very specific. Humans tend to know better. Yes, humans draw from a wealth of knowledge that's not just information. Humans draw from a wealth of knowledge that's experience as well. I think that's one of the pieces that people forget about AI. AI can only pull from information. It can't pull from experience. Even the responses to our corrections are responses to information. It's not taking in an experience. It's just taking in more information to clarify what it wants to output. And so I think, to me, that's the piece that people don't understand, that you get with a human. Even with a human using AI, you're getting someone who has experience, who understands from the human perspective the frustrations and the issues that you're going through, that you're trying to solve with the software that you are developing. Yeah, exactly, Ming. It just curates data and outputs an answer. That's really all that it is. Now, it does it really well in a lot of instances and a lot of use cases, and that's why we're seeing such a huge explosion of it here in the world today. But we have to remember that the human element will always be necessary, because what we're trying to fix or make better is the human, right? We're trying to make the human condition, the human experience better. And the only people that are going to understand that and understand the right way to handle that are the humans. Can code get much better at can AI get much better at writing more cohesive, better code? Absolutely, yes. We can build in standards. We can build in lots of things that will help AI write better code over the years. But at the end of the day, it's only going to go off of information. It cannot understand. It can't emote. It cannot understand the frustration, the experience of the user. It can only take what we desire and what we explain and turn that into code. And so that, to me, is the biggest issue with vibe coding. So what is vibe coding? Let's jump over here to the other screen. I moved myself over here to the left hand side, and now I'm outside the frame. 1 second here. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Bloop, bloop. All right. Perfect. Okay. Excuse me. So, vibe coding. What is it? Vibe coding is a very recent concept that was put out first here by Andrej Karpathy. Hopefully I said that right. Andrej Karpathy. Or Karpathy. I think it's Karpathy. Anyway, this really is the germination of this concept of vibe coding. And a lot of people have their opinions on what vibe coding is. I like to go back to Andrej because I think he was the instigator. So let's look at what he calls it. All right. So let's look at what he's talking about when he says vibe coding. Because again, there's lots of different people who have their idea of what vibe coding is. And there are changes to what vibe coding is. And what we're seeing is a lot of people calling vibe coding what's really just good use of LLMs or good use of AI. So yeah, Ming says, I thought vibe coding was made up. Well, it sort of is. Let's read it, right? Okay. So Andrej says, there's a new kind of coding I call vibe coding. Right? Notice I call vibe coding. Again, this is very recent. This is February 2nd of 2025. We're less than, 2 months old? 2 months old. And yet it's blown up. It's taken over the internet, which is just insane, in my opinion. Oh, no. Go back. Okay. I don't know if there's a way to remove this. I don't think so. Okay. We'll just try to make this as readable as possible. Let me move me. Hang on. Sorry. Oh, wait. There we go. Still not close enough. I'm trying to all right, we'll just do this. Sorry. Hang on. Un momento. We'll move me for now over here. Okay. Okay, so February 2nd, 2025, new kind of coding I call vibe coding, where you fully give into the vibes. All right? You fully give into the vibes. I really don't know exactly what that means, but we'll kind of see. We'll see what he's talking about here. All right. Fully give into the vibes. Embrace exponentials. The only thing that I can think of what he means by embrace exponentials is just kind of let it grow, right? Let it grow to become whatever it's going to become. Embrace that. Embrace the exponential growth of the code base, basically. And forget that the code even exists. So really, at the end of the day, at its core, vibe coding is using AI to write code in such a way that you don't really care what the code says, right? You don't really care the quality of the code. You don't really care the standards that are processed, that are met or not met. Um, it really is just trying to enjoy a process of building something without having to build it. At the end of the day, that's what vibe coding is: building something without having to actually worry about how it's built. Um, he says it's possible because the LLMs, like Cursor, Composer with Sonnet, are getting too good. I will admit that this is true, right? These LLMs are getting really, really good at writing code. In fact, if you watch some of the more recent live streams where I've been writing code and using a plugin for VS Code, you'll notice it's making a lot of really good suggestions. Even last night, I was working on a side project and just suggestions based on the context of what I had already written in a file, just moving so much faster. And yes, there's things that I had to change and tweak, but man, it's amazing that the quality of code that can be generated. That doesn't mean it always generates quality code, but it can be. All right. He says, also, I just talked to Composer with Super Whisper, so I barely even touch the keyboard. I have to ask, can you call yourself a programmer if you're not touching the keyboard? I mean, if you're just giving verbal commands, really, aren't you just you're just a prompt engineer at that point? I don't know if you can even call yourself a developer in that specific instance if you're not touching the keyboard. At least when I use AI nowadays, I still touch the key. I actually type out what I want. I don't know. Maybe it's just more efficient. That might be good. Okay. So he's just using Composer with Super Whisper, not touching the keyboard. I asked for the dumbest things like decrease the padding on the sidebar by half because I'm too lazy to find it. Right? Okay. Yeah, exactly. Anybody can vibe code and call themselves a dev. Honestly, that's really what we're coming down to. Is we have a lot of people who are using AI to generate small, in my opinion, useless applications, but they're hailing it as this massive achievement, and I just don't think it's not going to stand the test of time, basically. All right, so there's a reference here to laziness, right? It's something that is fun, it's simple, there's not a lot of thought. All these things that really make a developer a developer. You know, I've talked about the fact that most of our development process as developers is thinking, right? So most of the time that we put into what we're going to code is thought, not necessarily code. Using LLMs to write the code faster is great, and even the suggestions do help to some degree, but you have to, like, I put my cursor in a certain spot to receive suggestions, not because I don't know what I want to do. I do it because I do know what I want to do, because I've thought about it, and I'm hoping that it will have an idea of what I'm trying to do based on where I put my cursor, the things that I've been working on, things like that. So, so there you go. Excuse me. All right, let's go back to the thing. Again, this is the father of vibe coding. That's what I call him. I accept all always. So accept all basically is just saying, yeah, I'm going to accept everything that all the code that's being written. And I'll show you that here in a few minutes. We're going to do some vibe coding here in a little bit. I don't read the diffs anymore. He doesn't care what it is, right? When I get error message, I just copy paste them in with no comment. Usually that just fixes it. So he doesn't even have to know what the errors are anymore, because he just, throws it in there and hopefully AI can figure it out. The code grows beyond my usual comprehension. That, to me, is a problem. My code grows beyond my usual comprehension. This is one of the big things that I have, the drums that I have beat from the beginning with AI, is if you're going to use AI, you've got to understand the code that it creates. You are the one who is responsible for the code. I'm going to transition here because I want to make this very clear. You are the one who is responsible for the code that you put into your code base, not AI. You are the one who accepts the code. And again, he's going to talk here about the small weekend projects and things like that. I get that this is a fun thing, but people are beginning to take this concept of vibe coding further than he did, and they're trying to even put it into the realm of like startup applications and things like that. And it's when you do that, if you don't understand the code, if as he says, the code grows beyond your usual comprehension, you are now responsible for something that you don't understand. So do you really want to be responsible for something you don't understand? In my opinion, no, I don't want to be responsible for that. Sometimes LLMs can't fix a bug, so I just work around it, or I ask for random changes until it goes away. Again, we're just feeling it, right? We're going with how I feel in the situation. I don't want to deal with the problems, right? I don't want to deal with the problems. I just want to enjoy the flow. I just want to enjoy the process. It's not too bad for throwaway weekend projects, but still quite amusing. All right. I think this is the key. And this is where people, for me, have taken this concept of vibe coding way too far. This is something that's just amusing. It's something that, well, if I remember what amusing means, I think it comes from not thought, right? Musing meaning thinking about something, a meaning not. So it's amusing, right? It's not thinking. It's something that's just an experience. And when we try to take that and move that into the real world of development, I think we've made a huge error in that process. I'm building a project or web app, but it's not really coding. I just see stuff, say stuff, run stuff, and copy paste stuff, and it mostly works. All right. So there's the father of vibe coding, or who I call the father of vibe coding. And I think it's really important to consider his experience and his statement, his original statement on vibe coding, before we just jump into using it however we want to use it. We need to understand that it's not designed, the concept is not designed to build real world applications or to build something that is going to stand the test of time, that's going to actually accomplish something, be useful. There's been a lot of entertaining things that have been built, but at the end of the day, it's not there. And you need to know what you are doing in order to make sure that you're using AI well. Ming says, my senior dev friend said you can use AI, but you have to know what it means and know how to explain it. Exactly. And that's honestly, to me, that's the biggest thing that differentiates a junior developer from a senior developer, is the ability to explain and understand and talk about the code that they've written. And if they haven't even written the code, how in the world are you going to talk about it? Excuse me. So you've got to understand the code and be able to talk about it and explain it to other people. AI is really good for UI design. Not going to lie, I do it all the time. It definitely speeds up my designs. I will agree with that. Why is it good for AI design though? Let me ask you this, Ming. Are you using a specific CSS framework like Tailwind? I want to see how you're working with that. Because AI works much better within predefined frameworks. One of the main framework that I use is Laravel, MUI. Okay, so Material UI, yeah. That's the thing, though, right? So you're asking it to design in something that's already mostly designed, right? So it can take the components of the component library and put them together based on examples that are in the component library. So it's not really actually designing anything. It's just, again, regurgitating the design that's already pre-built based on the components that are built. AI does really, really well inside specific frameworks. I use Laravel most of the time for my development nowadays, and that's a great framework, great documentation. It does pretty well inside the Laravel ecosystem. So I mean, that's the thing. But that's the thing. That's not vibe coding, right? Vibe coding says, let's build this thing that I want to build, and I'm not going to give you any real parameters. I'm just going to describe what I want, and we're going to go from there. I don't like, Ming says, I don't like designing, so just ask it to build XYZ and build it, yeah, to this example from a link. Exactly, right? So you're giving it the input to do that. So even then, it's not really even it's not good at design. It's just good at taking the information that's out there and putting it together based off of those templates. So yeah. So my first experience with AI, I shouldn't say it that way. So I was introduced to an IDE fairly recently that incorporates AI. I don't always use it. I still use VS Code a lot. I use a plugin from the same company in my VS Code. But the application that I was introduced to was something called Windsurf. Now, this is not a excuse me. This is not an ad for Windsurf by any stretch of the imagination. But it is something that I played around with, and it was introduced to me by a colleague. Ming says, imagine building a SaaS product with vibe coding. Yeah, no. Absolutely not. I will use it. I will use AI to help me in the process of building a SaaS product, but definitely not. All right, so Windsurf is an IDE with the with an AI chat built in. Obviously, it has the other plugins, autocomplete, things like that built in as well. The application is free. It's basically VS Code with some updates and changes, right? Excuse me. So what you can do is you can chat with it, and it will actually manipulate the code base without you even having to be in the file, have the file open, things like that. So I was introduced to Windsurf a few months ago, and as I was evaluating it, we're trying to make sure that we have good policies around usage of AI and things like that in our company, and so as I was evaluating it, I wanted to see how good it was, and without even realizing it, I basically vibe code. I basically tried vibe coding exactly the way that Andrzej was talking about. So it was really interesting. It was definitely an experience. It was very similar to the experience that he had. And what I was building, basically, I had this concept. We wanted to write some code around resource management, and and so I just laid out probably about 2 paragraphs, pretty long paragraphs of basic information. Now, I went probably deeper than even a vibe coder typically would go. I had information about, I wanted specific things around like the Laravel and Tailwind and, things like that. I had very specific things that I wanted as part of this application. And I basically did what Andrzej suggested. I put that information into the code base, into the chat, and I hit enter, right? And it started spitting out stuff, and I literally just accepted everything. The only times I would type would be to say like yes or okay or something like that in the actual chat. Again, I'm not using like a voice thing like he was. Excuse me. But I basically vibe coded an application. And it was amazing. It was a really really amazing. As we go back, he said it was amusing, right? It was very amusing. It was very interesting to sit there, and I did exactly the things that he's talking about. So I was doing vibe coding before it became popular. I think a lot of people actually were. It just hadn't been named yet. Um, and so it spat out in about the an hour and a half an application that was fairly useful. It certainly was not as deep as I would want for from an end product, but you could use it. In fact, I took it into work the next day, and showed it to my colleagues, and just to show them kind of what was achievable at the time. And but as I started looking at the code, there were just weird things in the code base, weird decisions that it made that I didn't care about. I just wanted to see what it could do. And it made lots of weird decisions, didn't follow standards that we would follow normally as developers. And so if I were to actually use that product, I would have to go back and refactor a lot of code to really have something that was useful and something that I would feel good about putting out on the internet as something that was a real product. Excuse me. So when it comes down to why you should do vibe coding, I think there's only one reason. Now that we're 45 minutes in, I think there's really only one good reason to do vibe coding. Well, maybe two. We'll get the simple one first. Is it's fun, right? If you just need something that's mindless and enjoyable, go try vibe coding. It's fun. It'll be a little bit frustrating here and there, but it'll be a fun experience. So that's one reason. The only real reason why you should consider doing any vibe coding at all, in my opinion, is so that you get used to working with AI, so that you understand better the limitations of AI, so that you understand how you can communicate better with AI to get certain things accomplished. My use of AI has increased exponentially over the last few months, and the main reason for that is not necessarily because AI got better. The main reason for that is because I got better at using AI, at talking to AI, at giving instructions to AI. And vibe coding gives you an opportunity to practice that. Now, true vibe coding, like Andre's just talking about, is fairly thoughtless, right? There's not a lot of thought going on in that process. And so I would not say do full-on vibe coding. Use the concept of vibe coding to lead you down the path of learning to code better with AI, learning to instruct it better. So that would be the only reason. The only reason that you should be vibe coding outside of just amusement is to learn how to better interact with AI, to learn how it's growing and how it's getting better, to increase your skills and your ability to make AI do what you want it to do. Now, at the end of the day, when you go through that process, you won't really be vibe coding anymore, but that would be the only reason you should really start it, in my opinion. So Ming says, my other dev friend said only use AI once you're at least mid-level, which makes sense. It can be a clutch for learning process, like I'm learning testing. The test they produce tends to fail. Yeah, that could be a problem. Absolutely, Ming. I do it so 99% I agree with that, because I believe that you've got to understand the basics of programming and coding in order to know whether the AI code is good. So I agree with that. I think you still, is even a few months ago, I would not have said this, but I think even as junior developers, you need to at least become familiar with how to interact with it. that it should not be your crutch. It should not be the thing that is teaching you. You really, in my opinion, need to be taught by other developers. There's plenty of resources for that, right? It'd be great if you can get actual one-on-one mentoring. That would be the best way. But I think you do need to kind of get used to how to interact with AI, because even companies are starting to have requirements of people using AI, of having specific IDEs or having specific plugins for their IDEs to be able to interact with AI in their code to make them more efficient, to make them better and faster. So I think you need to interact with it enough that you get some of that practice that I'm talking about, but you also need to interact with it as little as possible so that you're forcing yourself to actually learn what you're doing so that you can find the mistakes and find the problems with AI down the road. Ming says AI is good for explaining concepts and clarifying. I always ask my senior dev friend if something is correct from AI. Yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, you have kind of a built-in mentor there to help you walk through that process. So for me, that's the only reason why you should use vibe coding. And really, at the end of the day, it's not going to be vibe coding. It's going to turn into just learning how to use AI better. So I guess really one could say the only reason to do vibe coding is for fun. There you go. Okay, so I want to just on that note, for fun, take a few minutes here, maybe about 30 minutes, and do some vibe coding. just for the fun of it, just so we can see maybe some of the pitfalls and the issues that we have when it comes to vibe coding. So I've got my windsurf here. I'm going to move me again. Sorry, hang on a second. Okay. So I've got windsurf up here. This is an empty application directory. To do your take home for you? No. This is where the code would show up, and this is kind of the chat area. I've got it pulled out to make it a little bit bigger. Let me see if I can make... I don't know if I can make any of this... Oh, there we go. A little bit larger. Okay. Hopefully that's at least big enough that you guys can see what's going on. Now, this is an empty directory. I'm just going to give it some instructions really off the top of my head right now. I called this directory Vibe Chores. So the idea here is I'd like to create an application that I can assign chores to children, and they can mark them off when they've been completed and receive some form of compensation for it. Whether that's, I don't even know what it is, right? All right, so we're just going to give that and see what happens, see what it comes up with. I would like to create a web application. It's probably too much information. Where that allows me to assign chores to children and allows them to mark those chores as completed and awards them some form of compensation in their account. Having a way to validate the chore was done is good. All right, now, if I click on this, right now this is going to use a bunch of credits, and I don't want to do that. There's actually a non-premium version of their AI, which is Cascade Base. So I'm going to use that. It's on write mode. This might just be chat mode really at the beginning, but I'm just going to leave it on write mode because I tend to use that more. And let's see what happens. I'll help you create a chore management system for children with compensation system. I'll use Laravel with Vue.js and Inertia.js as you have experience with these technologies. Oh, fun. Here we go. So it's making assumptions about the dev environment that I want, or about the application environment, based on what I have been using it for lately. So it's just making a random decision based on what it thinks I want because of what I've used in the past. So this will be fun. Okay. Accept. Remember, this is what we have to do. We have to accept everything in order to get the vibe coding. So now we're installing Laravel. Shouldn't take too long. Getting everything up and running. I assume that it's probably going to use SQLite, since I didn't tell it about any database. And it's running migration, so usually that means it's doing it SQLite. What is this command? We don't care. Inertia.js. Okay. Yay! Install Inertia.js. I'm going to switch this view, see if... There we go. I'm going to switch this to... Oh, stinky. Okay, never mind. We're not going to switch that view. Okay, let's see what's going. So it did all the package stuff. Artisan make model user, blah, 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 blah. Accept. This will be interesting. All right, so we've got an error. Model already exists. Oh, we're starting to see some code here popping up. All right. So the model already existed for the user, so it didn't create that. But now it's editing the user, so that's interesting. Chore completion, reward. So we've got a bunch of models that it's making. Sure, let's migrate it. Migrate! All right. We're just running through. This thing might be done in 10 minutes. All right. What is this? Let's create controllers for our application. Sure. Accept everything. I know we're not supposed to care about the code, but we have code, and it's making code. Now again, looks like it's using Tailwind. Probably because I wonder if it used a starter kit, since it's using Inertia.js. And the starter kits, I believe, use Tailwind, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so we've got all of our controllers in place, theoretically. Now we're building out view components. Again, this is a very simple application, so it does not surprise me that that it's moving pretty quickly. The requirements are fairly simple. All right, we've got create a layout for the application, app layout.view. Now that's interesting because I happen to know the starter kits come with an app layout. So maybe it didn't use a starter kit. Maybe it just installed everything. Well, I guess it did install just everything but on its own. All right, so we've got app.js file updated. Uh-oh, cascade error. Create a seed file to populate our database. Oh, it's because it was already there. So this is something that's interesting. A lot of times it will try to create files that already exist because it knows that it needs them, but it doesn't go to look and see if the file is there already, right? So this database seeder file is already in the base Laravel application. All right, do you want to... Yes, so we always want to run the commands. Run all the commands. Now, I do wonder if this is doing as well as it is because I've used it so much. That would be interesting. I wonder if it's doing better because of that. Except PHP artisan serve. All right. Run dev, okay. So we've got our server running here. App URL localhost. Okay, so I've created a comprehensive chore management system with these features. User authentication, that's already built into Laravel. Chore management, create and assign chores, point systems, blah, 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 blah. Login with tested example. Yep. Okay, localhost 8000. All right, let's try it. Oh, no! It's not working. Let's see. Failed to resolve import. All right, so what do we do with vibe coding? Well, we just take the error and we copy paste it back in here. I'm going to hit keep all. So that keep all is saying, yes, I'm accepting all the code changes. All right. Oh, okay. So we're going to accept this fix for the problem. This is what he was talking about, right? We just throw it in there and let it do whatever it thinks needs to be done to fix this. When I was doing this the first time on that app, I got to the place where it would try 3 different things over and over and over again. And I knew what the problem was. I knew what the answer was, and it couldn't figure it out. It made me feel really good. Okay. Accept, always accept when we're vibe coding. Uh-oh, no versions. Yeah, it can't possibly be what we're trying to pull in. Let's just update our configuration files. All right, accept. Don't we already have npm run dev running? All right, let's try it again. And nope, still failing to resolve. Okay, so let's just, anybody else getting frustrated yet? Let's fix the Ziggy import by using the correct path from the vendor directory. Oh, maybe, why didn't we do that the first time? Huh? What's the issue? All right, let's run it. This is getting janky. Let's see, I'm curious. I want to see what app.js looks like. All right, so it's changing from the vendor to just like, I don't know, pulling in the distribution, which it should just do automatically. All these ports in use, probably because I'm using Herd for another project. So let me kill Herd, and I will kill. Hang on, there's got to be another project here. Where's my... Turn that off. Okay. Run the command. Localhost 8000. Oh, hey, all right. Localhost 8000. It is running. What is this? Okay, I just see a home page, but no chore stuff. Let's see what it comes back with. Ming says, it's the same ChatGPT. It doesn't always fix the issue. Exactly. All right, so it's doing more changes. So what was the issue? The issue is, went to the home page. It just gave me a home page. There's no links anywhere to the chore stuff. So it's changing the middleware for some reason. Not sure why it needs to change the middleware. I created a welcome.view file that was, or tried to. There's already a welcome page. Let's update the app.js to include the welcome page. Why are we updating app.js to include the welcome? Now we're getting rid of Ziggy View. Huh. Weird. But hey, we're vibe coding, so we're going to keep it all. What's the error here? Error exception, web.php, failed to open stream, no such file or directory. Well, that seems like a problem. It doesn't look like it tried to fix the problem. It just said, let's just restart. Let's just restart it. You can log in with email and password with a login register option. Nope. Sorry, dude. It's not working. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Again, like, we're 15 minutes in. It looked like we had lots of great progress, right? We have lots of code. I mean, look at all these files that we have that it's generated. Just lots of cool stuff. But it's not really working. All right, so it says it needs to create auth PHP. Let's just see if it actually did it. All right, so we've got an auth PHP. Oh my goodness. Get post login, confirm password. It's got lots of code in there for authorization. I feel like that generally comes with Laravel though, so I don't know why it's building its own. Okay, accept. Because we always accept everything. Artisan make auth. Accept. Oh my goodness. This thing's getting crazy right out of the gate. It can't handle, it doesn't have login capability. So it's making its own login capability, which is interesting. Yeah, exactly, man. You accept everything and then it doesn't work. Keep all. Creating register.view. So now we're creating more views. So if it were up to date on the Laravel code, it should know about startup kit or start kits. And there's a start kit that has all this stuff built in for authentication and everything. With Vue and Inertia.js and all that stuff. But here we're spending a bunch of time trying to write something that is already available in a starter kit. And that's because the LLM either isn't aware of it or doesn't view it as a viable option for what we're trying to do. And it keeps telling me to run PHP artisan serve, which is fun. Run dev, okay. Now that I closed out my other stuff, we should be good there. All right, so it's telling me to do it again. Now, are we still on localhost 8000 since I got rid of herd? Can't tell. Oh, now we're on failed to listen to 8000. Now we're on 8001. Class inertia not found. Hey, we got a new error. Got a new error. All right, here we go. We've moved on. We worked around the first error. Well, we didn't. We just sat here and watched and drank coffee. Alrighty. Now, this is interesting. Composer require Inertia.js inertial. Oh, this is the PHP side, right? So we installed Inertia already. We got it all configured. Oh, that was just the front end. Okay. Now we got to make sure the back end can interact with inertia. Again, because we didn't use the inertia starter kit. We just let it do whatever it wanted to do. And it's running that. Thankfully, this stuff works pretty quickly. We're not sitting here forever like we were trying to figure out some of the issues with that mobile app, which I still have not completed, by the way. I'm working on it. I'm working through some issues with deploying it to my phone, so that's fun. All right, PDSP Artisan Inertia install. Do it. Could not be inertia install is not defined. Inertia middleware. Okay. Whoop. Accept. Don't want to reject. We want to accept everything. That's the number one tenet of vibe coding is accept everything. It's making it's updating the app service provider, updating the route service provider. Man, all this stuff that's going on that really, if it had just known about and used a starter kit, we wouldn't even be dealing with this. All right, artisan serve. Uh-oh, now we're on 8002. It's probably because we have a bunch of artisan serves running. Because it's not being aware of that's gonna be annoying. I'm gonna have to restart my stupid computer. All right, accept. App not found. 8002. App not found. This is definitely amusing. Would you make the mobile project open source? I can't because it's for an actual client. So no, I won't be able to do that. But I might do another mobile app that I would do open source. We'll see. View app not found. Keep all. I gotta remember to hit that keep all every once in a while so we just ignore the ignore the code. Not care what it says. So what it's doing now is it's adding it didn't add the inertia to the app to the app blade. So now it's adding inertia to the app blade. Here we go. Okay. Yep. Now it's telling me what it did. You accepted it. I know we could do it. You build a mobile app, then we can build a web app version of it. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Ming. All right, let's restart the development servers to ensure everything is running smoothly. I want to check something else out here. Turn off all artisan serve at once. That's not really helping me. Oh well. Okay. Because now we're just increasing the things here, and it's getting worse and worse. See, we're just adding ports. I don't know why this is not cool. Oops. All right, we've been at this almost 30 minutes. Blank screen. Let's see what's going on. All right, failed to load resource. What resource? All right, failed to load resources app.js, app.css. Is that right? Yeah. Boom. Let's see what happens now. Oh, for future projects. Yeah. If I have something that I can open up on open source, I will. If it's something that I'm doing for a client that doesn't want it open source, then I won't be able to. But we'll see. I have some project ideas that I'll probably open source. All right. Oh, we're installing more things. Let's try it. Well, I don't see any output. Oh, there we go. Okay. Added 20 packages. Wow. Good grief. How many packages are we going to add to this thing? Editing the Vite config. I think that's how it's pronounced, not Vite. I call it Vite, but it's Vite, I think, is it's the correct pronunciation. Oh, now we're getting into the lint errors. Excellent. Oh, now we've got to get a CSS fixer. Okay. Put that in there, because that's, why it's not working. Keep all. Now we're making a Tailwind config. And a post CSS config. Never used post CSS before. All right, let's serve another one. We're up to 8004. What happens if I just do localhost? Nothing. Okay. 8004. Nope, still failing. Still failing to pull in those files. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is painful. Oh, this hurts. Okay, so we have spent 30 minutes now vibe coding. Excuse me. We've spent 30 minutes vibe coding. Hey, welcome, Mel. Good to see you. I hope you can see the problem. The idea of vibe coding is amusing, but it's not. In the end, it's not really helpful. Honestly, I don't know that you want to vibe code anything from scratch with just an idea. You need to know what you want. You need to know how to clarify that when you're dealing with AI, and you've got to guide it. AI is a very knowledgeable and skilled junior developer. It needs someone to guide it and to show it what to do and when to do it and where to do it. It can do a lot of really cool things. So let's go back. Let's go back and look at these files. I'm going to get rid of this. Look at all the files that it generated for us. All right. It's not that it wasn't busy doing things. All right. And it wrote good things. It wrote helpful things, right? We've got a bunch of models. We've got controllers. We've got routes. We've got migrations. We've got our view files. Like these all look pretty good initially. But we can't even get to it. We can't even access it because it's going around in circles trying to figure out how to fix this problem. And really 90% of the problems that it's currently dealing with at the moment could have been resolved if it had started with a start kit. So if we had told it to start with a start kit it could have been much easier. They all need to be separated into folders. So this is just up here like this because I have them open. So that's why it's open editors. They are actually in their proper folders in here. So if I go into HTTP controllers, they're in there. Models, there's our models. So it put them in the right places. So again, it has a framework, so it knows what the framework expects. Mel says vibe coding sounds horrible. Might as well get an intern to debug their code instead. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the problem, right? That's why you also see such a variation in what people call vibe coding, because what they want to do is be cool and vibe code, but what they really are doing is just using AI to write code more quickly. There is a good way to use AI, and there is a bad way to use AI. I have an application that I'm working on for a family member that I got up in a better condition than this in 10 minutes with a Laravel starter kit. This is taking forever, and it's never going to get me where I want to be. But I have used this with the starter kit and made much more progress. So, and faster progress. Should we try it with a starter kit? Let's do this. All right, let's let me open up a new window. Ba-dum-bum-bum. And I'm going to make a new directory. New folder. We'll call it Vibe Chores 2. All right. So let's try this with a little bit better parameters, right? We'll still follow the vibe code rules for the most part, but let's do this with a little bit better parameters than we did the very first one. So let me get my prompt. Okay, so we're not rewriting that. Okay, so we'll put a prompt in here. Now let's give it some requirements, right? Please use the new starter kit from Laravel for Vue 3 and inertia. I think that'll get us past the issues that we were dealing with. So let's try that. And again, I need to change this down to the free. There we go. Writing with Cascade Base, by the way, you still have to have a paid account. So unfortunately, I do pay, but I use it a good bit. So it's worth it to me at the moment. Okay, so let's close this down a little bit and see what it says about our starter kit. Setting up the project structure and creating necessary components. Create project. Okay. Not starting off on a good foot. All right. No, I want you to use the starter kit. That's still not the correct command. This is annoying. Okay. Let's do this. No. Use this command. And it's what is it? It's Laravel new. Do I have to? Can I just do it here? Run command. Let's try it. Yay! Okay. Oh, here we go. Application already exists. not really what I want to do. Let's try. Let's just see what happens. No matches found. Um, no, I don't want to do anything. Okay. Let's so already we're not doing well because it doesn't know how to use the starter kit. Okay. So vibe coding is not very vibey at the moment. Let's do. All right, I'm going to run the terminal. So now I'm completely Laravel new VC2. Yeah, I just gave you the command. Run it. All right, this will take a little bit longer. It's installing all the things. Now this came with a lot more stuff than the base Laravel package does. So it's taking a little bit longer. But I think I'm going to re-give it the context of what we're trying to build once this installs. And we'll see how much better it does within the environment of the startup kit as opposed to what it was doing before. I'm going to see if it will shut down all the artisan servers. Sure, try it. Yep, do that too. Okay. TTY requires, what is this bug that keeps popping up? Oh no. Version V2. Okay, so here's our application. Okay, let's get our statement from the beginning. All right, we're going to tell it where it is, where the directory is. Yeah, see, now it's wanting to install a bunch of stuff again. So it's not even understanding the context of that directory. So let's do this. I'm going to open folder, Vibe Chores to VC2. All right. I'm going to give it some context. We are currently in a Laravel application that is using, what's it using? The Vue 3 with inertia.js starter kit. All right, now let's try our prompt. I'm going to go back again to code base, cascade base, boom. All right. Kelly says, I don't think I would ever try vibe coding because what is this? LOL. All right. So we're a little bit better, right? So if we take a look at this, what are we saying? I gave it some context, right? So again, back to the original vibe coding, there's no context, just what I want. But I gave it a framework and I gave it a starting point and I gave it some context. Okay. Hey, welcome, Celestino. Good to see you. All right. So now, once I gave it some context, it has something to start with. Okay. Notice how it analyzed the directory. Notice that users already exists, so it's starting to pull in some context. All right, so let's accept these things. Now we're going to vibe code and see if we can actually get something that works. So we've got our migrations in here. It's making models just like it did before, but hopefully since we've got the start kit, we'll have something that actually runs when we're done. We'll see. Okay, boom. Accept. Create the view components. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. And again, here's our... Oh, that's interesting. None of the files are showing up. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, it's because I clicked on it. Okay. So are not even seeing the files that are being created. The last one, it was opening them. I don't know why it's not opening them now, but oh well. Okay, so we're making components, view components still. It's making all of those. We'll accept the changes here in a little bit. All right, now we're making database migrations. It is interesting how sometimes it does things in one order and then sometimes it does it in a different order. All right, PHP Artisan migrate, accept. All right, let's set up the models for our chore management system. I feel like we already did that. Oh, we're just adding to them. Okay. Editing chore assignments. For those that have come in recently, we're building a chore application, or I should say Cascade base AI is doing it. Theoretically. The first attempt failed miserably as it could not even get authentication working. So now we've moved over to a starter kit from Laravel that has authentication already built in to see if we can actually get this stuff that it built to work. All right, creating index view. Again, it is incredibly amazing what it is accomplishing. To be able to take very limited requirements and actually write a bunch of code is really cool. Now, is it going to be code we want to keep? Who knows? Is it able to get around some basic hurdles? You know, there's still a lot of issues here that we're having to work through. All right, we're adding routes to the route file, fixing linting errors. Okay, it thinks it's got it. To use the system, first create some chores by visiting chores, and assign chores to users by visiting chores assigned. Users can mark their chores as complete. Parents can validate completed chores. Users can view and redeem their rewards at rewards. The system uses Laravel's authentication system so that it be logged in. Notice it doesn't tell me what the login is. We're going to keep everything. And it doesn't say that anything is running. So how do I access it? Oh my goodness. Okay, Composer install. I feel like we did this initially, but let's try it. Yep. Okay, reinstall the node dependencies. PHP Artisan Serve. I just don't use that. Okay. Run dev. Let's create a user for you to access the application. Actually, if you use the seeder, there's already one there. If we could run the seeders and do that, but we're going to accept it. Password 123. That seems secure. Okay. Mel says, I've started looking into learning cybersecurity. All the jobs seem really well paid, with companies giving a lot of benefits. I think AI is making it more sort of a more sought after job than with fewer people. Cybersecurity is a huge industry right now. I would say go forth and prosper. It's a huge industry right now. Actually, one of the clients that I work with at my job is in the education arena, and one of the applications that I've managed for them recently is all around cybersecurity training and things like that. So yeah, it's a big field. It's a big field, and there's lots of opportunities for it. Okay, let's see. So we should be able to again do localhost 8000. All right. Okay. My question is, where is the login? How do I log in? I feel like we're back where we were on the other project. Not found. What? Not found? Oh, you know what? We didn't actually use the starter kit. Okay. I was so eager to move forward. I completely forgot to actually go through the process of setting up the starter kit. Oh my goodness, because when I ran the Laravel command, it didn't go through it. That's the problem. Oh, that's what that error was. Oh, so I don't know if you remember. There was saying that there was this error that it couldn't write to something. So when you go through the actual Laravel, here I'll show you. Let's do this. Turn off servers. Accept and accept. All right, we're gonna turn that off. I'm gonna create a new app and development DMD. Okay. I'll try to make this big enough for you guys to see. Nope, not that. Okay. So, excuse me. When you're setting up a new Laravel app, and it's going to ask you about starter kits, and this is what it didn't do before, and I didn't catch it earlier. So we actually are not using the starter kit, which means we went through all that. We're in the same position that we were, but let's try it again. I've got a few more minutes. All right, so Laravel new vibe chores 3. All right, so this is what it was trying to do, which is what it couldn't do. Let me side by side this. Here we go. Okay, and it wasn't. We actually didn't do a starter kit. It was just another installation of Laravel. So that's annoying, but it is what it is. Okay, so we're gonna go to View, select that built-in authentication, which is what we wanted. Sure, we'll use pest. All right, now it's going to build all this stuff out. Oh, you didn't see any of that because I needed to move me. Oh, well. That's what I meant to do, so you can see that. Okay. Set up the application key. Okay, so now let's go over here, and we're going to open folder. 5 chores 3. Okay, so now we have the starter kit. I know we have the starter kit because we got authentication in the routes, things like that. Okay. Let's grab our we are using the Laravel Vue 3 inertia starter kit. All right, so we're going to go back to the same stuff that we've done. This is the third time going through this. Oh, you guys can't see that. Hang on. There we go. Celestino, I pray every day so vibe coding fails. You don't have to pray that hard because it's not very good. All right, so we're creating our models again. Again, I had to give it a bunch of context and starting point to get this stuff to work. Assuming that it does. Let's see what else. Kelly says, wait, so which AI tool is Dave using in his IDE? Is this the cursor thing? So this is Windsurf by Codium. Windsurf by Codium. Accept. And again, typically the principles are that we accept everything. So we are making models. And now we're updating the user model. Now we're starting to get some code popped out here. All right. Now we're creating our migrations. Do it. Looks like we're adding roles to the user table. I don't know what those roles are. Probably like parent and child. That would make sense. Excuse me. We've got to get this thing actually running within the first 2 hours. Otherwise, we've completely failed. Oh, and now I've got heartburn. This is going to be fun. All right. Error while editing. That's fun. At least he's apologizing. Adding a chores table. Editing the chores table file. It is interesting. Some things that it wants you to approve and run, and some things it's just doing. Create accounts table, chores table, users. This is going a little bit slower than it was. Oh, stink. I forgot to change this. I wonder how many credits it's using. Premium flow action credits. It's used like 20. This will be interesting. 22. There goes my money down the drain. All on vibe coding. Uh-oh. Auto generating okay. Updating our models to define relationships. So one of the reasons why it's just doing a bunch of stuff right now is because I'm using 3.5 Sonnet instead of the base because I forgot to switch it. Which means it's spending my money, which is fabulous. I pay for the lowest tier, so it's not a huge deal, but all right, keep all. Is it done? It is done. All right, I'm going to change this back to our base cascade. First let's check chore update. Auto journey memory was updated. All right, continue. Let's see what it does now. Continue updating our models. There we go. Now we're moving. And we're not spending my credits. Spent 22 credits, man. That's not cool. This is what happens when this is how they suck you in and take your money by auto switching it to using credits when you open a new window. I usually catch it, but all right, let's run the artisan commands. Dropping all tables. Oh, we did migrate fresh. Okay. We're making controllers now. Now we're moving. Yep, accept it all. Let's just do it. We're adding routes. Now we're making view components. Third time's the charm, everybody. Third time's the charm. Excuse me. Chore list view component. Let's keep it. Let's keep it. See, here's a bunch of the files that have been made. But we don't care about the code. Remember, that's one of the tenets of vibe coding. Was we don't care about the code. Create chore view. Let's do it. Let's do it. Just for kicks. I'm going to turn on. Okay, that's gone. So I'm going to turn herd back on. And I'm going to tell it that this site is available. Actually, it should already know it. But I'm going to make it SSL. Okay. I'm not showing you what I'm doing because I've got other stuff in here that I can't show you. All right, but we can do this. Copy. Now herd's running. Oh, interesting. Well, we got a 404 page. That's cool. What do you mean it's not private? Sites. There we go. Okay. Let's go back to our code. What we got going on? Accept. Nursery. Why are we installing Nursery View 3? It should already be installed. App layout was already created, so we're editing it and creating problems. That's always fun. Keep them all. Keep them all. Linting errors. Cannot find module view 3. It's so annoying. Right. Done. It says it's done. Continue. Man, it just like died in the middle of the process. It's like, I'm done. I quit. So now we're doing more work here. Editing chores assignment controller. Let's look at the web route. See what it's got in there. Oh, what is this? Chores, chore assignment, resource. I don't like using resource. I don't know. I just like defining all the routes visually. Maybe I'm weird. Well, I know I'm weird, but like maybe I'm just wrong. Oh, by the way, Mel, coffee. It's kind of cold now. It was hot when I started though, 2 hours ago. All right, we've got 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left of the live stream. Let's see if we can get this thing to push it over the finish line. What is it doing now? Oh, it's following. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Accept. Do it. Make the seeder. The only command I don't want to accept is the run artisan command because I've got it running in herd. Make seeder. Yep. Do it. Do it. Do it. We're seeding everything. So when did we actually start this last version? I'll have to go back and look. 15 minutes ago? Database seeder, updating that, migrate fresh seed. Do it! Nope, don't want that one. I'll go back to my own stuff here. We'll do, oh, all right, let's do, CD, what's it called? CD Vibe 3. All right, we're in there. Okay, so I'm gonna do npm run dev from here. Bada bing. All right. Yes. And we have a login. And did we run our seeders? We ran our seeders because we ran migrate fresh. Okay. So we should have the base test login, which is test@example.com and password. Oh no. So we finally got past the authentication issue. And we have another issue. All right, target class dashboard controller does not exist. Let's pop it in because that's one of the tenets of vibe coding. We just take the error and pass it along to the AI. I hope this has been at least funny for you guys to watch me struggle through vibe coding. You've seen me struggle regular coding and then struggle with vibe coding. Maybe I shouldn't code at all. I don't know. All right, we're making a dashboard controller. Not sure why we yeah, it already exists. So maybe just now see. Okay, so just look at what it's doing here. I'm going to accept this. Clear out. But look what it did. Instead of just following the normal process and instead of finding the root cause, it's just changing how it's calling the class. Like this is not a fix, as we will see here in a second. Oh, maybe it was a fix. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what did we do here? Edited dashboard. Oh, so we did edit the dashboard controller. That's probably what it was. And we didn't probably need to do this at all. So if we edit that out, I know you're not supposed to touch the code when you're vibe coding. I just want to see. That is interesting. Oh, hang on. We need to import it. Import the class, which means we'll need to import these two. We're gonna get the same problem here. So instead of importing them like it should have, it added the extended routes. All right, that was the issue. The actual issue was probably not the dashboard controller. It was that it hadn't imported it. Okay, let's see. Pending chores, completed chores. We've got a dashboard here. Okay. How do I make chores? How do I make chores and assign them? Oh my goodness. No. No, I want a UI in the app to do that. So it didn't create any components to manage the chores. Come on, man. What am I paying you for? This is vibe coding, guys. Oh my goodness. It wanted, so in case you weren't familiar with what it said or couldn't read it, it wanted me to log into Tinker, which is which is a command line tool to be able to run code in your Laravel application, and it just wanted me to create stuff there. No, I want to manage everything in the application. That's part of the initial statement of work, right? That's what I wanted to do from the very beginning. Oh, that's annoying. So now it's hopefully doing that. Create chore assignment view, edit chore assignment view. We got 5 minutes left and we still can't even create a chore. We spent about an hour and a half getting to this point. Keep all. Editing the chore controller. I mean, you have to admit, it at least came up with an interesting dashboard. You know, account balance, pending chores, completed chores. Although it looks like it's assuming that I'm a child. Oh, that's annoying. There we go. Okay. Profile, password, appearance. This stuff is all built into the starter kit. Let's see. Add back to the dashboard. Okay, so it says that we should have the ability to do this. Go to... No. We're not going to go to that. Add a menu item to access this. Now it's trying to find the sidebar. Yep. Sidebar component. There you go. You're getting there. You're getting there. And come on. You can do it. I don't know if it can, but I'm going to encourage it and tell it that it can. All right. We've already run this command. See? Up to date, dummy. Keep all. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The white screen of death. This is not good. Here we go. Is parent is not a function. Well, guys, we failed. I honestly thought we would get a little bit further than we did based on that first project that I tried to vibe code. This is why you should not rely on vibe coding for any real world instance. Learn to use AI tools well and integrate them into your process. Otherwise, following something like this just is not going to be the be all end all at the end of the day. All right, it actually popped up, so I'm going to transition back over. So it actually popped back up here with a bunch of menu items. Chores, all chores. None of the routes work. My chores, create chore. Create chore doesn't even work. So we've got menu items, but they don't go anywhere. All right. So anyway, yeah, vibe coding isn't great if you're not proficient in your text app. Absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, you just, there really is no good use case for it other than practicing interacting with AI. So keep going. Vibe coding is like gambling. You have to double down. That's awesome. Nice, Mel. All right. Well, thanks for jumping on, guys. It's been an interesting day. We'll get back to doing some more real coding, potentially with AI in the coming weeks. I don't know exactly what we'll do next week, but I will hopefully see you all there as we jump back on at 10 o'clock Eastern or Central United States time. So thanks for jumping on today. I really appreciate it. Thankfully, my voice is still here, so that's helpful. We made it all the way through 2 hours. So thanks for jumping in when you could. I really appreciate seeing you guys, and hopefully this has been helpful or at least entertaining along the way. Yeah, so have a good day. I will see you all next week.